Hello and welcome back, you guys. So in the last video that I put up, we were talking about fluency and how to be fluent in English. Now, if you haven't seen that video yet, I'm gonna put a link for you above. But in today's video, we're taking it one step further and we're gonna be doing a quiz to see how fluent you are in English. So if you're just joining me here, welcome. My name is Victoria and I make videos for those of you who are looking to master the American accent. So if that's you, please subscribe and hit that notification bell, and YouTube will let you know when I've posted new content. To all my subscribers, welcome back, you guys. Thank you so much for being here. So in our last video, we talked about that there are three really important variables that comprise fluency. And so we talked about linking, articulation, and reductions. In today's video, I'm going to be reading the same 12 expressions from the last time. However, I want you working on your auditory perceptual skills, and so I want you to figure out what it is that I'm doing incorrectly. Am I not linking? Am I not reducing when I should be reducing? Or am I not articulating a certain sound correctly? So our first expression, tell me what it is I'm doing wrong, or I might be sneaky and I might say the expression totally correctly, just so that you're not always expecting there to be a mistake. So, what do you think if I said, it's a dog-eat-dog world? It's a dog-eat-dog world. Correct or not? So in this case, not, and why not? There's one tiny little misarticulation. What is it? So it's in the word world. World. So I was not saying it's a dog-eat-dog world. I was saying it's a dog-eat-dog world with an or sound. But we all know by now that English is not very phonetic, and just because we're seeing the letters OR together doesn't mean that it's going to sound like or. In fact, in this word, it doesn't sound like or, it sounds like So it's a dog-eat-dog world. All right, our next expression. What do you know? Woo, my phone fell. What do you know? So, does that sound fluent or not? So in this case, not again, and why not? So there's a few things going on, right? So I'm saying, what do you know? What do you know? But I can link and reduce much more than I'm doing in this expression. So instead of what do, with a released T going into the word do, why don't I just make a flap there and say, what do you know? What do you know? So you'll notice do reduces to more of a schwa, what a. And you, it could go either way, but you can definitely reduce the word you in this expression a lot as well. What do you know? Next one, in dip water. In dip water. So what is the problem with this phrase? So it's my vowel, right? I'm making it way too lax, and it shouldn't be dip, it should be deep. So a tense, slightly diphthongized E sound. In deep water. All right, our next one, break even. I just want my business to break even. What do you guys think? This one's kind of tricky. So what's the problem here? It is that I'm missing a schwa on the word even. Even. So I'm not saying even, I'm saying even. Even. But that's not how we're supposed to pronounce that word. We should in fact say break even. I want my business to break even. All right, the next one is call it quits. Call it quits. What's going on here? So there's a small misarticulation on what sound? On the word call, on that vowel. So instead of a low back ah sound, I'm saying more of a pure o sound. So we don't say call, we say call. we're going to call it quits for the day. The next one we have pan out. Pan out. So I just don't think that things are going to pan out. What do you think? So there's two little things that I'm doing that change what this expression sounds like. One of them is my vowel on pan. So most native speakers, not all, but most are gonna make that tense a vowel slightly nasalized. What I was doing, I wasn't making it tense enough or nasalized. So I was saying pan, but I should be saying pan. The other thing I was doing that is not a mistake, especially in this context, I was releasing that final T. And given that it was just a phrase in isolation, it's really totally acceptable to say pan out, but it's really, really common. Sorry, that was my phone falling. It's really, really common in North American English to not release that final T, so to just hear pan out without that T being released. All right, our next phrase is no ifs, ands, or buts. No ifs, ands, or buts. What do you think? Is there any air in this phrase? There is one, and if you're missing it, it's subtle, okay? But go back a few seconds, slow down the YouTube playback speed, and listen one more time. It is a sound error, so there's one sound that I'm saying incorrectly. I'll say it one more time. No ifs, ands, or buts. Did you catch it? So this one was the vowel on the final word buts. Buts. So I should be saying a lax sound, but instead I was putting in more of a pure sound. When we're talking quickly, it's subtle. It's really, really tricky. And this is actually, if I have a really advanced client and they barely have an accent, if there's gonna be a few vowels that they're misarticulating, this is almost certainly going to be one of them. So even if you're super advanced, I strongly recommend you pay attention to that lax sound. All right, our next expression is way to go. Way to go. So what do you think? Does that sound fluent as a native speaker would say it, or not? So in this case, not, and why not? Way to go. So in this case, it is that word to. So I'm saying to very eloquently, very properly, but in this context, the word to is not important. So we should reduce that word. And when we reduce it, it's not going to sound like to anymore. It sounds like this. Way to go. Way to go. So the T is in fact becoming an alveolar flap, and the U vowel is becoming a schwa. So we're saying way to go. You did an awesome job. Way to go. All right, next expression is keep an open mind. Keep an open mind. So what do you think? Does this one sound natural and fluent or not? So not really, right? There's a few things I'm doing with this one, and I think it sounds pretty unnatural. So what's the first thing when I'm saying keep an open mind? To me, this is definitely the more glaring one. So it's a lack of reduction on the word an. So in isolation, for sure, the word an is in fact a tense nasalized a vowel an. But in this expression, the word an is so unimportant. There is no reason to keep that in its full form. So instead of keep an, we would say keepen pun. So the an really becomes a schwa n. Keep an open mind. So based on how I just said that expression now, what was the other misarticulation that I was saying previously? Did you catch it? So it was the lack of movement of the lack of diphthongization on that vowel O in open. So it's not an open, which is what I said the first time, it's open. So our phrase should have been keep an open mind. All right, our next expression is pat on the back. I gave him a pat on the back. What's going on here? There's a tiny thing that I could be doing differently. So, is the lack of reduction on the word the or the, as I'm saying it in its full form. But as with the previous example, in this phrase, the has no reason to stay in full form. So it's way more natural sounding and it'll sound way more fluent instead of saying pat on the back to say pat on the back, pat on the back. So pat and back are winners, on is more reduced, but the is super reduced. Pat on the back. So our next expression is take it easy. Take it easy. What do you guys think? So there is a misarticulation in this expression on which sound? Take it easy. So this one is that I'm saying easy, easy. And I do know that the word is spelled E-A-S-Y, but in English, the letter S does not guarantee a S sound. It could be S, or it could be the voiced version of that, so it would be a Z. So in this case, that's what I should be saying. So it's not take it easy, it's take it easy, take it easy. And notice that when I'm voicing that S, I'm also changing the length of my vowel. Take it easy. And our last expression here is tell me about it. Tell me about it. Super, super subtle. I know I'm being a bit obnoxious, but how could this phrase be a tiny bit more fluent? And granted, if this was a natural conversation, I doubt anyone would notice this, but I want you guys to be able to develop habits that that this comes out spontaneously in your conversation. So a native English speaker, even though they may not pick up this tiny air, they wouldn't make this air. They would definitely have done what I didn't do here. So what didn't I do in this expression? Tell me about it. So it's super subtle, but I should be linking me and about very smoothly. There should not be any pause between those words. So I want you to think of the vowel E in me kind of ending in a Y, kind of a Y component. So that Y is going to connect me and about. So it'll sound like y about, me about, tell me about it, tell me about it. So if you were to take that portion of my speech and slow it down, you'll hear that it's super fluid, that there's like a seamless transition between all of those sounds. A native speaker would not pause between me and about, not even for a tiny second, unless there was obviously a different reason for which they were pausing. So that is it for today's quiz, you guys. As always, I really hope that you found this material helpful. If so, please share it with your friends. I really appreciate it, and I will see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.